Hi y'all, it's me again. It's time to put the handle onto this mug. So I've got the mug handle template and I'm gonna go ahead and use that to create the handle and start the process of putting this together, finishing it. So I'm gonna take a slab of clay, once again, it's about 1/4 of an inch thick, and it has to be compressed on both sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I notice that the slab is not super wet. It's wet enough to bend easily, but not so wet that it's dry that it's leather hard. So I'm gonna go ahead and smooth this out. It's compressed on both sides. I'm gonna take my handle template and lay it on the clay. And once again, because I'm cutting curves, I'm gonna use my needle tool to cut this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out. Just trace around the plastic template. And go ahead and just remove the excess clay. So I've got a handle, a really rough one. You can see that it's a little bit larger on the top than it is on the bottom. But once again, I've got these edges and the edges need to be cleaned up and smooth. So I'm gonna take my chamois leather once again, squeeze out the excess water and go ahead and work on compressing and refining the edges first. So I'm gonna go ahead and run around this side. This is always really important. Not only does it make the mug handle look a lot better, but it also starts the process of creating a mug handle that's comfortable in your hand. So I'm gonna smooth this on this side. And once the edges are fairly compressed and smoothed out, I'm ready to start the shaping process. So at this point, it has no kind of contours. It's got a very flat edge. It's pretty thick. I'm gonna go ahead and start giving it a shape. So I'm gonna compress with my fingers the sides of the handle. What this does, it stretches the mug handle out a little bit, and it starts a kind of a shaping process, and it changes the profile of the handle, whereas the edge starts getting a little bit thinner right here on, and making it more comfortable in your hand. So that's kind of the start with this. After I get it pressed, I'm gonna go ahead and use my sponge and sponge that out, sort of smooth out those contours. And I'm gonna make sure that this back side of the mug handle is also smooth and ready to go. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and take my fingers and squeeze out the excess clay so it's a little bit thinner right at the very top. And I'm gonna look at my mug and start thinking about the position of the mug handle itself. So I'm gonna bring it to the edge of my work table because it makes it a little bit easier. And I'm gonna start thinking about the shape and also the curve of the handle itself. So I'm gonna roll this. Now, normally one of the things I like to do is actually just sort of set my handles up in a curve like this. They start to get leather hard, a little more leather hard, kind of a soft leather hard actually, before I apply them, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this right now. So I'm gonna take my scoring rib once again, and I'm gonna score on the cup just a little bit below the rim of the cup. And I'm also gonna score the top of my handle where it's gonna apply itself to the cup itself. And I wanna make sure that these score lines don't like creep over into this edge because it's gonna be a visible edge. But I wanna make sure that I score completely enough that I make a good join. And then I'm gonna take my slip that I prepared and go ahead and add that to the top of my handle and also to the bottom where it attaches. Now it's not necessary to score this area too. So at this point, I've got my mug set up here. I'm gonna go ahead and lay this handle against the mug and start pressing in so it makes a good contact with the body. I wanna make sure that I squeeze this thoroughly so all of the air is pressed out and I know that I'm making a good join. And then I'm just gonna drop this down. Now I keep my thumb underneath the handle to make sure that it doesn't get squished. And I go ahead and line it up so the handle is actually really straight. And I'm gonna go ahead and take my thumbs of my right hand and press kind of firmly down at the base so it makes a good join. Once I get the handle attached to the mug, it's time to do the adjustment. So there's an adjustment that's required to get this curve correct. So I go in and I just use a little water and I actually just round this out a bit and sort of drop this curve down just a little. I also want to make sure that this join right at the base is still really strong. So I'm going to take just a little drop of vinegar and like drop it down. And then it's just a matter of refining the top. Hopefully this will help you out putting handles on your mugs. There are many ways to make handles. This is just a strap slab handle, which I think is appropriate for a slab mug. Hopefully, I want you guys to try this out on a number of different cups. I know that I have you making 2 cups. But it would really be nice if you have sort of a scrap cylinder and you actually just practice applying handles. So good luck. This is one of the harder things to do on a coffee mug, but it's actually one of the most satisfying because once you make a mug and a handmade mug, it's the best thing in the world to drink out of. So good luck. Bye.